Hi everyone, Darren Hunter here. I am with Michael Sands. This is the Outsourced PM Podcast Show. Now, Michael, just looking back on the podcast that we've done so far, we've covered some really good topics. Again, how's your feedback going with talking to people?
Yeah, feedback's been fantastic, actually. I'm surprised at how many people are actually tuning in and listening to it, but it shows that outsourcing is a real sensitive point for people in the marketplace looking, given the whole resignation crisis and staff shortage. It's a real solution for people to look at outsourcing, and the feedback has been fantastic.
No, I get it. There's a lot of people, and I used to be that way, have mindsets and hang-ups and speed humps in my head about outsourcing. And naturally, when you're thinking about outsourcing your property management work, a number of objections come up in your mind. And I just want to say to everyone out there, it's cool, we understand, but all of those objections are easily overcome. And the people that take on a virtual assistant and do it well, don't have those problems or those hang-ups that are there. And we just encourage you to go back into the Outsourced PM Podcast Show episode library, have a look at some of those, just pick and choose perhaps something that relates to you or answers a particular speed hump or issue that you have around VAs. But today, Michael, we're going to talk about a good topic and the big complaints that virtual assistants have. This is where a virtual assistant has been employed and things aren't going right. And this is a feedback that you're getting from virtual assistants. So I think there's no one out there that's more qualified than you, Michael, to be able to talk about this, because you understand the heartbeat and what these people go through, because you're working, with your virtual assistants team all day, every day. Well, if you're not coaching for IGT anyway, but let's just get into it. Michael, let's just talk about, we've got a list here that we're working. Firstly, you've talked about virtual assistants feeling that they're getting ignored. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's easy for, I guess, someone working from home and not working in an office to feel like they don't have the attention or the communication. We get feedback sometimes from our team and other assistants out there in the marketplace, where they're doing their work and they try to communicate with the office, and the office are too busy and they don't reach back out to them, and it just becomes a bit of a stalemate where the assistant is kind of stuck and they feel ignored. And then when they feel ignored, they feel undervalued, and when they feel undervalued, they feel demotivated, and when they feel demotivated, that's when the issues start happening.
We've got virtual assistants, particularly the people that express concern. They really want to work, don't they? They're really excited when they start. They're really excited. They're enthusiastic. And it's not like they don't want to work.
No, they definitely want to work, and they want to throw everything they have at it. I guess where the agency thinks that, okay, we've got a virtual assistant and, they've had some level of training, that they should be as up to speed as what, the most senior property manager in the team is. And, when they think that the other person, working remotely from home is up to speed, then I guess they don't give as much attention. But as you were saying earlier, Darren, the time is an investment. The time that you spend with the team is an investment. And we encourage all our clients to every single day have a video message, have a video call, get on a Zoom, 2 minutes, minimum, just to check in. Hey, what have you got on today? These are the things I'd like you to focus on this morning. And then you have that video connection, and it really adds so much value to the buy-in of the whole experience.
I think it's a little bit like, as an analogy, a family situation with mum and dad and the children. If we just haven't got time for the children, keep on brushing them off, eventually there's going to be problems if we're not giving quality time to the kids, right?
Yeah, 100%. And they are family. They are part of your work-life family. You should think about them when you go home. You should think about them while you're working. When you're doing your staff lunches and so on, that's when we would like to be able to send, your team member pizzas and lunch and some drinks, so that they also can partake in the same experience that you're going through in the office.
I think because there's an issue or an element here of you haven't got an actual body sitting in the office at a desk, it easily becomes out of mind, out of sight, doesn't it?
It is, and it's very easy. You know, someone's in the office. I think too, like when someone's in the office and they're new, you're a lot more forgiving because you can kind of see them out of the side of your eye. And if they're making mistakes or they're not communicating, companies are more forgiving of that because they know, oh, I'm too busy at the moment. I'll just let them keep doing what they're doing. I'm too busy. I'll get to them later. I can still see that they're in the office. When it comes to like a virtual assistant, I find that if you can't see them, you start questioning what are they doing. But, you could have someone in your office just kind of sitting there in front of a computer, pressing enter, looking busy, pushing paper around, getting up, walking over to a drawer, opening it up, doing some pseudo filing. And you think, oh, at least they're doing something. But, someone working from home, if you don't see what they're doing, you start thinking, what are they doing? For us, we've got that covered. We use software. We can see exactly what they're doing. We can see if they're wasting time, if they're ineffective. Offices don't do that. Darren, real estate offices do not quantify the inactive time that a staff member does. We do. And I can tell you that people in office are far more ineffective.
Yeah. I think another good rule is that, whoever we're delegating to, we've got to keep them busy before we get busy. But if we get busy and they're not busy enough, we've got it around the wrong way. So I've got two people, the virtual assistants that have different capacity. One's an executive assistant, one's a marketing assistant. My job is to keep them as busy as I can, and I delegate as much as I can. And I'm keeping a very close eye on those tasks as well. We've got to remember, we've got to get them busy doing the right things before we get busy. But if we're too busy and they get ignored, that's a problem. If we've got people we can delegate to, let's just get really, really good at delegating. The next big complaint, Michael, that you've mentioned is rushing training. What's the issue around training being rushed? What is that? What's causing it?
Yeah, I think there's also time issues within an office when they recruit a virtual assistant. Whilst there's a level of training that's given to them, there's a notion that the virtual assistant would be up to their speed, and they would know what to do in their office. But fundamentally, real estate property management is the same from office to office. However, how you do property management, like how you do your notes, how you type them up, where you save them, how you communicate, your exact process is different to other offices. And you've acquired that and you built that up over a period of time. It would be hard for anyone to kind of just guess that those processes that you follow. And so it will take some time for someone to be at your level of expectations. So, what we recommend is that, answer the questions, be accessible, to answer the questions. If your assistant sends you a text message or calls you or emails you, have a bit of a hyper focus for the first few weeks to be there for them, because the time that you put into that, you'll get back exponentially.
Absolutely. And it is, you do the sacrifice first, you put the time in first, you get them up to speed, and then you're going to be starting to receive the benefits, but you aren't going to get the benefits right away unless you do all your preparing, all the training and everything up front. And Michael, we've actually got a podcast just on that before your virtual assistant starts, before the day that they start, all the things that you need to have ready around training and instructions and all of those sort of things. Just go back a few podcasts and be able to find that, all the things that you need to have ready before they start. Being prepared is the key. Because that's where you're going to get your return. All right, let's move on to the next one, Michael, is that virtual assistants, another complaint that they have is they're feeling that they've been palmed off or brushed off. What's happening there? What are you actually hearing on the ground of what's been going on behind that one?
This is so comparable to when an office brings on a new landlord, the BDM goes out and brings on a new landlord, and they tell them how how they'll do A, B, C, D, and then the landlord joins the business, and then all of a sudden they're passed off to a property manager that they never met before. And and then the owners, the landlords are like, well, hang on, I just spoke with Dennis, and now I'm dealing with Darren, but I don't know Darren. And what's Darren's role? How is what Darren meant to be helping me with? Same thing like when you bring in like a virtual assistant. And so we deal with the business owners and the department heads, and we roll out a plan with them to go forward. They help with some of the training, and we start doing that implementation and onboarding. But when all of a sudden the virtual assistant starts dealing with like a property manager they haven't met, or the property manager hasn't had any time, or they haven't bought into the process or the experience with the company, they kind of fob off the assistant and say, oh, I'll come back to you, or I don't know what we're doing on this task. You'll have to check in with Dennis. He's the one that kind of brought you on. I don't know what's happening. And I guess they get put in Siberia. They get put in an environment where they're on pause.
And do you feel that those staff members that are brushing the virtual assistant off haven't bought in to the benefits of the virtual assistant and what they're there to achieve for them?
Yeah, I find that when we have like the onboarding meeting and everyone in the team is in that meeting, as well as the assistant, it's a lot easier and better, and there's more of a buy-in factor from the whole team, because they understand why the business owners are going down this path. Excuse me. And I got to say that in our experience dealing with a lot of business owners, they aren't looking to outsource to save money. It's not a saving money experience for them. They are looking to have someone join the team to help with the time, repetitious, mundane tasks, so that those in the office have time to engage with their clients, so that they can look at customer service and growth. And I think that some of the staff may misrepresent the owner's intentions of why they have this help coming on board. Why can't it all be done in office? It's a solution out there that helps businesses. Yes, it is affordable. It's more affordable than having a local staff member in the office. But you need to be focusing on growth and income producing tasks. Having a virtual assistant is there to help you. It's not there to hinder you. And I think like as long as once the property managers and support staff kind of open up and understand that it's not a threat to their role, it's an assistance to their role, to their growth, to give them the time, then it's a lot smoother for everybody. But I find that property managers in general, they're threatened by their jobs, and they know that the marketplace is quite hard at the moment, and there's a lot of people out there that are resigning and looking for other opportunities, but they're threatened. A lot of people think, oh no, my job's next. My job is next. And then so they don't give the virtual assistant the time that they need. They're not there to replace your job. Like, if they replace your job, it's because they were better at it than you were. Mm-hmm. They were dealing with customers that you weren't prepared to deal with. Yeah. They were prepared to put in the time and the effort. If you're not doing that as a property manager, yes, I wouldn't be worried about a virtual assistant. I would be worried about your job in general. Right? The virtual assistant is irrelevant, but they're there to help. And we know companies that use virtual assistants really well, big organizations, and they're part of the team, and they include them. We were in an office the other day in Florida, Dan, and we walked into reception, and they had a TV in the reception hall, and all the virtual assistants were plugged in live. So the virtual assistants could see everyone moving around the office and everything, and it was on mute, so you couldn't hear everyone talking, but they could see everyone and they felt involved. And when everyone walked past reception, they'd wave at the cameras and say mime g'day. Well, not g'day because they're in America, but so it's the culture, it's the ethos, it's buying in. The property managers need to buy in and not fob them off.
I think you've made a good comment there. The real purpose of the virtual assistant is to take the mundane tasks, so the property manager in the office or the property manager assistant can focus on high value, dollar productive, customer service, growth activities, things that really do make a difference to the business. A good analogy, and where I've seen this also work is mortgage broking, Michael. So for example, my mortgage broker that I deal with, he's sorry, just bear with me 2 seconds. My mortgage broker that I deal with, he doesn't get involved that once he's got a loan in play, as in the application process. He's got someone else that's assigned to collect your income, designed to collect all the paperwork, designed to collect all the things that the bank's going to need to look at the deal. But the actual mortgage broker himself is focused on the high-end customer service, but not in the low-end mundane tasks of collecting all these documents. And whether this person's a subcontractor, probably, but this is what all this person does full time, is all these mundane low-end tasks that would simply bog the mortgage broker down in getting and slowing him down and getting to the next deal.
It definitely helps with mortgage broking. We have it with our business, and we've helped other mortgage brokers out there with processes in place, and just getting the grunt work done, so the mortgage brokers can focus on the new business, meeting the clients, restructuring, structuring.
Yep. So again, the VAs are very much about the grunt work, aren't they? And getting the grunt work done. So moving on to that, another complaint that virtual assistants have is being treated like robots. What's that about? What's behind that?
I see this a lot in America too, where like the assistant is just like someone they don't really have any involvement with. They don't see them, they don't engage with them that much, and it's just they send a task through, and all of a sudden it comes back X amount of time later, and it's done. And like, wow, that's great. It's like that. I don't know if you've seen that comic skit, Darren, where the guy, I'm pretty sure he was in Adelaide, and he was joking to his girlfriend that every time he puts plates and bowls and waste on this coffee table, he goes to bed and he wakes up and it's gone, and so everything's been cleaned and it's up in the cupboards, and he thought it was magic, when it was really his girlfriend that was actually cleaning everything up once he went to bed. Same with virtual assistants and tasks. It's easy to kind of think, well, I sent this task over to this email address, and bang, I come back in the morning and the leases are done and this is entered in and they don't think there's actually Dennis on the other end of the computer there, putting his blood, sweat and tears in, making sure there's dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and he's human. And then when he tries to call you, Darren, you don't answer, but you'll send an email back, and all of a sudden you get a message or an email. It's quite robotic and transactional. And again, it creates demotivation, because they're like, well, why am I turning up to work if you're not giving me the time of day? Like, I'm doing all this work for you. I'm unmotivated. But as you know, like when people are motivated in the office, Darren, they go above and beyond. Like, I'm not saying people should be doing overtime, but you don't think about overtime. You don't think about going to pick up those keys on the way home or on the way to the office. You just do things because you love what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's human. That's a human element of work. When it's not there, it is robotic.
Yeah. Do you come across virtual assistants with mental health problems because of the extreme issues that they may be struggling with in a job? Have you heard of that sort of thing before?
It's a really interesting comment that you raised. I think most people out there have got underlying mental health issues, and I guess when they're not in the right environment or a safe environment, those mental health issues can become unearthed and rise to the top, and depression can set in, and questions of self-worth, self-doubt rise to the top. And when they've got so much time to think about all these matters, it can become a problem. I mean, with our company, we offer anyone that has mental health issues, or they feel like they're falling into a depressed state for any reason, we provide them with mental health doctors, right? That they can book in, call, have sessions with, if they need to be medicated, because some people need medication. It's there for their support. It's not a what's the word? It's not frowned upon at all. It's something that happens to so many people. COVID has been absolutely brutal to, we talk about people in Australia and New Zealand and America and the UK. I'm seeing depression rates rise to the top with so many property managers and business owners that have just struggled their way through, except those in WA. I mean, they were untouched. They struggled all the way through. And now we are seeing that as an issue. And any business owner needs to be mindful of that and make sure they provide their staff with adequate support.
I think, these are workers, but these same workers, virtual assistants, they've got families, they've got issues, they're people, and they've got real lives. And we tend to forget that because they're a virtual assistant on the end of an internet connection. And we just got to understand that they've got a whole, three-dimensional life as well, as same as the people in the office. And who we are is who we bring ourselves to work, and who we are is very much about who we are when we're not working as well. So there is no such thing as a robot. Not when it comes to a person, maybe when it comes to future advances in an artificial intelligence and things like that, but not when it comes to people. Let's move on to the next big complaint, and that's simply having wrong expectations. So employers, people working in a real estate office, working with virtual assistants, having wrong expectations. And Michael, you've sort of flagged around task speed. There's wrong expectations around task speed. Do you want to just talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. It's always an interesting topic. Darren, you know how to do things really, really well, really, really fast. And I think there's an expectation of property managers that when a virtual assistant starts with them, that they're at the same speed. And we know that, you got to the speed and the efficiency that you are at because of time and repetition. And, we try to focus on accuracy, efficiency. You got to nail the accuracy. You got to make sure the accuracy is there, and then the efficiency will follow, and it just becomes second nature. But there is that expectation there from so many people that you'll do it as fast as them, if not faster than them. But they didn't know how to do it. What you were doing, potentially a couple of weeks ago. So it's understanding, and we refer back to time banking. So the more time you give to train someone, like 10 hours or 20 hours on a particular task, and go over it with them, don't look at that as a negative. That's an investment. Go over it with them, help them work on the accuracy of what you need done, and then the efficiency to follow. You will get that 20 hours back so fast. Like, depending on what the task is, could be a lease renewal, might take you half an hour, let's say, might take them 45 minutes, or let's call it an hour for the purpose. You spend 10 hours training them on it, so you've lost 10 hours training them, but 5 hours of that would have been how fast you would take. Once they start doing those lease renewals on their own, after the 10 hours you've got all this time back. You got half an hour every time they do a lease renewal that you can focus on growth, income producing. Yes, they will get to your speed, but maybe not the very day they start.
No, that's right. So it all comes down, we've got to have right expectations. They're a team member through and through, and team members need training. And once they're up to speed, oh my goodness me, I just, with the delegation that I do to my team, I just save so much time now. I am a rapid delegator, very fast, very effective. My team just goes and does it because they've been trained. They know what to do. I can trust them with complex tasks now very, very quickly, just with taking me seconds just to explain what I need. And of course, that's using technology and so forth as well. But certainly having the right expectations from the start. And I think you've talked about, getting them up to speed with those mundane tasks. And you've even said that once it's done right, they should be able to do them a lot faster than what you can, but it takes time to get to that point. But once you're at that point where they're doing it at the same speed that you can, or even faster, that's where the benefit's going to be.
So it's an investment. It's an investment you put your time in, but we're there to help you. But if we don't know your process, it's a bit hard.
Yeah. All right, last big complaint is around team culture. I left this to last, Michael, because I think this is probably the most important in creating a culture. And certainly, we've got to be careful about ignoring them and rushing our training and brushing them off or palming them off because we just haven't got the time, or we've got a bad attitude towards virtual assistants. You don't want to treat them like robots and have wrong expectations. That this is all underpinned with a culture, having a good quality culture where people want to work. And I guess I'm just going to throw my hat in the ring here, but going out of your way to catch them doing things right and thanking them and appreciating them every time. And I know that you keep them appreciated and you look after them, be genuine about it. They are just so loyal.
Yeah, you got to remember, Dan, if you're working in an office, it's a lot easier to kind of see the smiles on people's faces and see when they're happy with work they've done. It's easy to say, congrats, well done, you've done a good job there. You can go to the pub, you can have pizza days, you can do all these things, go to the movies, laser tag, all that. And your assistant sees all this and they're working, from their house in another country and they can't partake in any of it. And, I've seen offices where they do their culture days. And what they do is, Darren, they do a redirect of the phone to the assistant to take the phone calls while they're out there having fun. And then they have their lunch and dinner and their drinks. They come back and they have their photos posted everywhere on social media. And the assistant just kind of says, okay, they log off with their time. They go home, they spend time with their family and friends, but there's nothing joining them or connecting them with the business other than the tasks that they're doing.
Yeah.
So what we try to do is, like with us, and I think everyone out there who has assistants should do this, send your team member food, meals, thank yous, at least once a month. Can be pizza, can be like whatever the food is that they like, send them a meal once a month. We do it for our clients. We'll, they'll say, hey, Michael, we want to send such and such something for lunch this week. We'll organize it because, we have roots on the ground there that we can get meals out there and drivers and riders that can get things to the team members easily. We don't need to think twice about it. And we'll do that anyway, like randomly. But when it comes from the company, it's such a different feeling for them when, if you're doing a staff day, you should send your assistant on something fun, right? Send them to the movies, send them out with their family to go bowling or, depending on where they live and what they have access to, something nice and get them to do photos. And, having them sit in team meetings, really important. Just checking in, like we were talking about before, the office that had people zoomed in live the whole day. It helps with culture. The more your VA buys in to you, your business and your people, the more you'll get out of them. So much more.
Yeah, correct. And I'm just, for our business, IGT, of course, the teams by design as well, the VAs that we've got working for us, I wouldn't have it any other way. I just struggle to consider doing it another way because it works so well when it's done right. And that's the key, is that once you get to understand this, you just wouldn't want to go back, because getting those mundane things done that frees you up to do something that's more valuable and more productive, I just couldn't consider working another way.
I mean, you've got the ultimate setup, Darren. Like you've got Bev, you've got who just is like your right arm, who just kind of knows what you need done when you need it done, how you need things done. She takes charge. She communicates with everyone else for you to kind of make sure there's clarity around the instructions. You've got Anne, who's been with you, who does a lot of that grunt work, that time repetitious work, for you. You've got the graphic artists, because you do a lot of the marketing. You've got, you have like the ultimate setup there where you got all these people around you helping you and support you. And for those out there who see all the marketing that IGT does, it's all Darren. And
but let's go on from that. I can be sitting on a beach somewhere with my phone, banging out my tasks. If I need to go do some screen recordings, hey, I might need my laptop to do it. But boy, it's just so, once the machine is there, it looks after you and it works really well, but you've got to get that machine going. So Michael, good podcast there, going through the 6 big complaints that virtual assistants have. Everyone, look out for those, make sure that you overcome those there, so you're having a good experience for you and for the virtual assistant. Michael, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Best way, go to teamsbydesign.com, contact us, drop us a note, and we'll organise a time to catch up.
Yeah, and invite you to have a connect with Michael. If you're still thinking about getting a VI on board, you're not sure, you've got some big questions, you've got some big problems about issues with employing a virtual assistant, write down what the issues are, throw them at Michael, let Michael explain how you can overcome those, because having a virtual assistant on board truly is freedom that you need to experience. To release you and your staff from those mundane things, so you can then do and be free to do the things you want to do, growing your business, developing deeper and more meaningful relationships with your clients, because that's what really matters when it comes to business. So thank you, Michael, and thanks to everyone. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next podcast recording.
Bye.